So the topic was the post that was put on LAS concealment. I don't know who the individual was. I think you do. And it started out, he was talking about, groups and sizes. And I was like, oh, this might be interesting, talking about like the speed of life and reality and how things are going to open up a little bit. But it goes completely against what my opinion of how we should be training our officers, and how I think people should be training, which is when he went off into the realm of you need to spread the rounds around. So I listened. I was like, maybe he's going to make a point of this, because that would be great to have that ability to be that fast with my vision to pick precise anatomical points on a person and disable them at will. But he's talking about, everybody likes to shoot small groups, but what you need to do is spread these rounds out around so you're hitting more organs, the left lung, the right lung, and the heart, and all this, and talking about how much harder it would be to work on that person. And I think it just sends a terrible message. What it says to me when people say it is, I can only do this good, but it's combat effective. And I'm not going to argue with that, right? Those hits are effective, but it isn't the goal. So when you're telling people to spread the rounds around, if you were so precise that you could shoot left lung, right lung, heart, face, just go face. Just go heart. When people talk about would you want to be the surgeon trying to work on the guy with all these bullet holes? The guy with a round or 2 rounds through his heart is never making it to a surgery table, period. There's nothing they can do for that guy, right? And the intent of deadly force, although it is deadly force, the intent of using force against an individual who's threatening your life or someone else's is not to kill them. That may be a result of that action. It is to stop them. And I'm telling you right now, of the people that I've talked to on the street who have multiple bullet holes through them and are just sitting there talking to you, they didn't get stopped from anything. They just got shot, right? Some of them were victims. Some of them were bad guys and gangbangers who were shooting at each other, but the other guys ran away and they didn't have a threat to shoot anymore, but they're kind of immobilized, can't do much, and they got stuck there when the cops were there. But they're there to be able to tell you either, hey, I ain't telling you shit, or yeah, this dude did this, with like 5 bullet holes in them, none of which had anything important, right? Important enough to stop them, I should say, to stop them immediately. So what I put in my response to that was I completely disagree with this way of thinking, saying, it's okay if your rounds spread out because you want these results. I agree completely that it's okay for groups to open up and even miss the target in training. And I think you should be pushing yourself to that limit so you can start to find either ways to accomplish it or the true limit of your own physical ability. But saying that, does that make sense where I'm going with that? Like,
yeah, totally.
Spread the rounds around unintentionally, to me, is a miss. If I meant to hit here and I hit here, that is a miss. If I hit anywhere other than here, it's a miss from my intended point of aim. Now there's an acceptable area that will still give me the same results, but that shouldn't be the desire. And it shouldn't be, okay, that's cool, or by doing so, you're doing this. No, if I could divine the skill to deliver rounds at any pace on a 1-inch paster at any distance, from 0 to, let's say, even 50 yards with a pistol, I would take that in a heartbeat. That ability would be superhuman. And then I wouldn't worry about organs. It would all be cranial shots. Ding, 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 ding. You would be unstoppable. So that message, when it gets sent to students, they're saying, you got to spread the rounds around, and it's okay that the target looks like that, but not explaining why it's okay. Hey, we are training. I want you to, if you can't shoot a small group, then we're missing the very beginning fundamentals of what we're trying to accomplish. If at 10 yards with your pistol, you can't shoot a very small group, there's a lot of stuff we need to work on. That should be your main focus. Now, once you're able to do that, yes, I want you to start pushing time. And even if you miss a target, I really don't care. Because then but I want you to be able to tell me how you did that. Well, I came into position and as I was firing, everything came off the right side of the target and I still pulled the trigger. That's really cool. That's awesome to know. Do you think you could have corrected that if you saw that happening again? Do you think you could have had some visual patience? And what were you looking at? And like really showing them what they should be doing. But the overall idea of spread the rounds around, and the idea that something such as combat shooting even exists, I disagree with completely. It isn't combat shooting. It's just the fundamentals of shooting that are made more difficult by people shooting at you and you running around and having to hit things that are moving, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I'll go back to the beginning and talk about a couple of things. Like I've heard this for years. I've heard this for a long time. It isn't something
Not new. No.
Yeah, not new at all. Talk about a couple of things first that um, they're just logic. Not, I mean, they're experientially driven, but they're logic. Okay. The assumption of that is that someone will stand perfectly still while being shot.
Agreed.
Okay. You know, in my little times around the sun, I've never seen that. I've never seen someone stand still and be shot. I've seen someone be shot and immediately fall,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never seen someone stand still and just soak bullets. So that to me, like shooting an animal, like shooting a buck. If you clip it, you see it wince. You'll see it. Animals will try to get away from the pain.
There will be some movement.
Yes, there'll be something, unless it's an instantly incapacitating shot. They'll move, they'll twitch, there'll be some sort of movement of some kind, which mitigates the whole concept. That right there just throws it out the window. One. Two, the goal, as I understand it, and I was trained to understand it, you know, and applied it in different places, the goal is to put as much energy in the most critical area as you can to get them to stop doing whatever they're doing. Yes. Okay, again, in the air marshal program, I taught use of force. I mean, I get it from the federal system. You're doing something so egregious that I have to use up to and including deadly force to stop you from continuing to do that. That may result in the loss of your life. So be it. But what you're doing is so egregious that I have to do that. So I understand the whole debate in that sense. The intention is always to go as accurate and as rapidly as possible in training. Like you said, understanding that that's going to degrade not under pressure as much. I mean, people say, oh, under pressure it degrades. No, the dynamics of the environment. You're moving, they're moving. The lighting's different. It's unexpected. You know, there's a lot of different factors involved in it that change the dynamic of it. So if you train to a much, much higher standard, if you train to put bullets on top of each other on the range, even if they open up to 6 inches, they're still 6 inches where you need them to be. So the idea that you can somehow explain away the marksmanship, a looser group through anatomical effectiveness, I just look at it and go, that one that's making an assumption that whatever you're shooting at will be standing perfectly straight and never move. Okay. And two, that you could possibly even put them through the same hole, or you could pick areas to put bullets. It just on its face, it doesn't, like, I can't make it make sense. Like I said, I've heard it for years. And then, experientially, I'm not the only one here on this cast or whatever that people don't do what you think they're going to do when they get bullets put in them. Not at all. Some people will show very little signs of it and keep moving and doing what they're doing. Some people will scream or yell. Some people will just fall. But it's not like there's no predictability to it. And the assumption that you could put bullets through the same hole is based on a level of predictability that literally does not exist. It doesn't exist. So I look at it and say that it gives the wrong idea, because people will say, well, then I don't have to be able to shoot doubles in a group this big at 7 or 10 yards, because it doesn't matter. As long as it's all in the A zone somewhere, I'm good. And it's like, no, that's not actually the case. Again, you're overtraining for the event, because the event is going to include movement on both people. Both people are going to be moving in some capacity, and it's also going to include some sort of conditions that you are not prepared for or you did not expect. There's going to be different lighting. Lighting is going to change in the middle of it. There's going to be vehicles. There's going to be people. There's going to be backstops. You have to, come on and off the trigger because you can't put bullets through a quick stop. Like there are so many factors that change, that the one thing you can keep consistent is extremely good high-speed marksmanship. And then you apply it. There's just high-speed marksmanship. Okay, how you apply it is different if you're a cop or you're a soldier or you're shooting a USPSA match, but it's all the exact same thing. You're all doing the same thing. The application for you as a copper is different. You are going to apply this under different parameters. The fundamentals are all identical. There is no difference. So I think that, I think that it leads people, I think it gives people the excuse to give themselves an excuse.